In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, I would like to welcome all of you of today's lesson, which is going to be about Unit 4, reading. Mainly, today we will focus on reading. Let's see the objectives. Today, inshallah, we will relate the paragraph to its main idea. 2. Arrange food information according to questions using who, how, and what. Point out how certain popular foods were discovered. Finally, we are going to find 7 adjectives that describe food. Let's start. As usual, we will revise the previous lesson, which is vocabulary building. Do you remember these words? The 7 words here. Very good. Let's start. You will see these words in reading on pages 60 and 61, which is today, inshallah. Match the words with their meanings. Let's start. Existence. We said that exists something in reality, okay? The presence of, or something like that, okay? So here we have C, the presence of something in reality. Number 2, staple. Very common or important, okay? So the answer is G, a common or important item. Number 3, vendor. A vendor, a man or a person who sells things or goods, okay? So here, the answer is F, someone who sells something. Number 4, quandary. Sometime you don't know what to do in some situation. This situation is called quandary, okay? What does it mean? A quandary is E, a situation in which someone doesn't know what to do. 5, indulgence. As we said earlier, the son trying to kiss his father's hand and trying to ask for forgiveness, and of course the father will go easy with him because it's called indulgence, okay? So indulgence here, something you let yourself have even though it may be bad for you. Number 6, substitute, okay? Number 6 here, the answer is B, something that is used to place, okay? To place one of or another thing, okay? Finally, delectable, and the answer is delicious, okay? Something tastes good, smells good also, okay? And so on, okay? Delectable, here I'm talking about something is delicious. Okay, now let's start our lesson by seeing these pictures here. What do we have? Yeah, ice cream. Yeah, what is this? This is potato chips. Very good. What about this one? Red one. Yeah, it's called Popsicles. Today, mainly we are going to try to talk about this, but let me ask you a question. Have you ever think about how these things, okay, are made? Okay, or have been invented? How? Today mainly we will focus on that. Okay, so let's start page 60, please. Now we are going to do what? We are going to read the title, Accidental Food Discoveries. Accidental Food Discoveries. What do I mean by this title? Can you think of any kind of accidents for give a food discoveries, okay, or something like that? Okay, if I'm talking about here, this picture, the ice cream, the potato chips, and of course the popsicles. Nice, okay, because as I said earlier, you are going to read the article here. We have about the accidental food discoveries, and of course let's start with the first one. Read the article and underline. What does it mean underline? It means to put a line under the word, okay? The information that tells you how certain popular foods were discovered. Okay, so mainly we will focus on what? How certain popular foods were discovered. Okay, so we are going to underline some information. But first, now I need you to read this article. Okay, now I need you to read the title and the article. Then I will come back, listen to the audio. Then I will come back and ask you about this one. Are you ready? Let's start.
Pages 60 and 61. 8. Reading.
Accidental food discoveries. Can you imagine a world without cool, creamy ice cream cones? Isn't it depressing to imagine life without chewy, delicious chocolate chip cookies? And who could get by without salty, addictive, crispy potato chips? Yet all these treats are fairly recent inventions that may never have come into existence if it weren't for lucky accidents.
Very good. If it weren't for lucky accidents, okay, I'm gonna ask you now, all the accidents are bad? Are all the accidents are bad? According to this article now, or this paragraph, it's not. It is not bad at all. Okay? Very good. Now, can you name 7 adjectives from this paragraph, okay, to describe food? To describe food. Starting from, can you imagine a world without cool, creamy ice cream cones? Isn't it depressing to imagine life without what? Chewy, delicious chocolate chip cookies? And who could get by without salty, addictive, crispy potato chips? Okay? Yet all these treats are fairly recent inventions. Now, give me 7 adjectives to describe food, please. Okay, let's start. Can you imagine a world without cool? Very good. 1. Creamy. Nice. Okay. Number 2. So here, life without what? Chewy. Number 3. Delicious. Also. Number 4. What about here? Salty. Very good. This is 5. Addictive. Number 6. And finally, the word crispy. Of course, these are the 7 adjectives to describe food. To describe food. Very good. Now let's move to something important. Now you are going to read about the invention here, okay, about the food invention, okay? But first, I want you to read those 4 questions here and try to find out in each paragraph the answer of these 4 questions. Question number 1, who discovered the food? Okay, which one do I mean? Okay, and when? Time, talking about time. Number 4, how did they happen to discover? Okay, and finally, what happened after they discovered it? Okay, what happened after they discovered? So here, the first one is who, asking about the person or something like that, and when, how, and what. Okay, I mean these paragraphs you are going to read now. According to these paragraphs, you are going to find the answer of these 4 questions. Okay, here, how many paragraphs do we have? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, okay, and of course the final one is 4. Okay, so you are going to answer the 4 questions, okay, out of these pictures, out of this picture, as you can see here. Okay, nice. So are you ready? Very good. Let's start with the first one here with the Popsicles. Listen and read, of course, with the audio. Then we will come back, inshallah. Let's start.
Have you ever enjoyed the cool refreshment of a popsicle on a hot summer day? If so, you have an 11-year-old boy named Frank Epperson to thank. One winter day in 1905, young Epperson was making soda pop by mixing powdered soda and water. He accidentally left the mixing bucket outside with the mixing stick in it overnight. That night, the temperature reached freezing. In the morning, Epperson discovered that the fruit-flavored liquid had frozen to the stick. Although he tried and liked his invention, it wasn't until 18 years later that it occurred to him to turn his invention into a business. Epperson's children referred to this treat made by their pop as a popsicle. That name stuck, and eventually became the official name. Today, popsicles are enjoyed by millions of people around the world.
Very good. Okay, now let's answer here these questions. Who discovered the food? Who discovered this one? The popsicles. Okay, have you ever enjoyed the cool refreshment of popsicle on a hot summer day? If so, you have an 11-year-old boy named what? Okay, so Frank Epperson is the man who discovered the popsicles. Okay, then the second answer is when. Going to look for a date. Okay, so one winter day in 1905, this is the date. Okay, how did the Frank Epperson find the popsicles? Okay, as you can see here. Okay, accidentally, what happened? Left the mixing bucket outside with the mixing stick. Okay, what happened here? This is what happened. Okay, at overnight. That night, the temperature reached freezing. Okay, reached freezing. So accidentally, what happened? The soda, in the morning, Epperson discovered that the fruit-flavored liquid had frozen to the stick. Okay, had frozen to the stick. So this is what happened, how it happened really. Okay, and although he tried and liked his invention, okay, he liked his invention. So what happened here? Then, what is the last question? Is what happened after they discovered it? What happened after here Epperson discovered? Okay, after, okay, 18 years later that it occurred to him to turn his invention into what? Into a business. But finally, okay, today popsicles are enjoyed by millions of people around the world. Okay, as you can see here, popsicles, okay, are invented by accident. Okay, accidentally happen. Okay, very good. And who did that? Who invented the popsicles? His name is Frank Epperson. Okay, Frank Epperson. Let's go to the second one. Also, now you are going to listen and read along. Okay, then inshallah we will do the same. Okay, who invented this food? Okay, when, how, and what happened after they discovered this food. Let's start.
But perhaps your dessert of choice on a hot day is an ice cream cone. If so, you should be glad for the unexpected event that brought two men together at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. An ice cream vendor named Charles Menches was doing such booming business that he ran out of bowls to put the ice cream in. The vendor next to Menches was a young Syrian immigrant named Ernest Hamwi. Hamwi was selling a Syrian treat called zalabia, a crisp, wafer-like pastry. Hamwi came up with a solution to Menches' quandary. Hamwi rolled some of his warm pastry into a cone so that Menches could put ice cream inside. In that instant, a favorite international hot weather treat was born.
Very good. Okay, actually I like ice cream. Okay, why? Because it's a mix or combined two culture together. Okay, which culture do I mean? the Syrian one, okay, and the other one is what? The European one. Very good. So here, perhaps you desserts of choice on a hot day in an ice cream cone, okay? So here I'm talking about this one. This is the ice cream, as you can see in this picture. If so, you should be glad for the unexpected event that brought two men. So, who, okay, invented this food? I'm talking about now two. Who are they? Okay, two together at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, an ice cream vendor, okay, named Charles, okay, Minches. And who is the other one, the other guy, the Syrian one? The Syrian immigrant named Ernest Hemingway. Okay, so here I'm talking about two together. What happened? And this was when, okay, it was on 1904. Very good. So what happened? How the food was created or invented here, okay? What happened? Hemingway was selling a Syrian treat called zalabia, a crisp wafer-like pastry. Now he is now giving a crisp wafer-like pastry, okay, here, giving a description of zalabia. And Hemingway came up with a solution to Minch's quandary, because Minch's will run out of what? Of the cones of the ice cream here, okay? So what happened? Hemingway rolled some of his warm, okay, pastry into a cone. So rolled means that just like this shape, okay, into a cone, so that Minch's could put ice cream into it, okay? Could put ice cream. This is how and the cone invented, okay? What happened after that? After discovering it, okay? In instance, a favorite international hot weather treat was born, okay? After that, an international weather treat was born. Very good. Now let's move to the cookies. Here, you are going to listen also to the story of the cookies, how these cookies were invented, okay? Are you ready? Let's start.
Of course, not everyone is a fan of frozen treats. Some prefer the indulgence of delicious freshly baked goods, like chocolate chip cookies. These people should be grateful for an accidental discovery made by an American housewife in 1930. One day, Ruth Wakefield was making chocolate cookies when she realized she had run out of baker's chocolate. Wakefield decided to substitute broken up pieces of a chocolate bar she had on hand. She assumed that the small pieces of chocolate would melt and mix into the batter. However, after taking the cookies out of the oven, Wakefield discovered that the chocolate hadn't melted. Instead, there were little chips of chocolate throughout the cookie. Much to Wakefield's delight, the chocolate chip cookie proved to be a great success with her family and guests. Wakefield sold the recipe to the chocolate company Nestle in exchange for a lifetime supply of chocolate chips. It wasn't long before the chocolate chip cookie became a world-famous treat.
Nice. Okay, how did chocolate cookies now invented? And who invented it? It's called, so here, let's read together. Of course, not everyone is a fan of frozen treats. Some prefer the indulgence of delicious freshly baked goods, like chocolate chip cookies. Okay, so here, these people should be grateful. Grateful, what does it mean, grateful? It means to appreciate, or thankful. To whom? For an accidental discovery made by an American housewife in, now I'm talking about the date, okay, here, 1930, okay. What is the name of the inventor here? One day, Ruth Wakefield is the inventor, okay, Ruth Wakefield. So what happened? What really happened? Okay, here Wakefield decided to substitute broken up pieces broken up pieces of a chocolate. Do you remember the phrasal verbs we talked about earlier? Okay, very good. So here, to substitute broken up pieces of a chocolate bar she had on hand. Okay, what happened here? She assumed that the small pieces of chocolate would melt and mix with the chocolate itself, okay, into the batter. Okay, however, what happened then? After taking the cookies out, okay, of the oven, Wakefield discovered that the chocolate hadn't melted, okay, hadn't melted. So instead, there were little chips of chocolate, and this I'm talking about here, the brown or the dark one, which is the chocolate itself, okay? It hadn't melted at all. Okay, what happened then, okay, after discovering the chocolate here, I'm talking about the cookies, Wakefield sold the recipe to whom? To the company named Nestle. Okay, why? In order to what? Okay, and in exchange for a lifetime. What does it mean, a lifetime? Okay, as long as she lives, okay, a lifetime. In exchange of what? Supply of chocolate chips. Okay, so Nestle now, the company, will give Wakefield a supply of chocolate chips for the lifetime. Okay, and it wasn't long before the chocolate chip cookie became a world famous treat. Very good. Now let's move to the last one, which is the potato chips, as you can see in this picture. Please listen and find out the information you need.
But if crunchy, salty treats like potato chips are your preference, then you owe a debt of gratitude to a cranky chef and a picky diner who lived over 150 years ago. On August 24th, 1853, George Crumb was working as a chef in a restaurant when he became frustrated with a customer. The customer had repeatedly sent back his French fries, complaining that they were too thick and soggy. Fed up, Crumb decided to teach him a lesson. Crumb sliced the potatoes as thinly as possible and fried them in grease. To Crumb's astonishment, the customer thought the chips were delectable. They became a regular item on the restaurant's menu and, in time, became a staple of the global fast food industry. Clearly, not all accidents are bad. Some have made our lives richer, sweeter, and tastier.
Not all accidents are bad. Why? As you can see, the story, how the potato chips I'm talking about, okay, were invented. Okay, so here, let's read. But if crunchy salty treats like potato chips are your preferences, okay, then you owe a debt of gratitude to cranky. What does it mean, a cranky one? Chef and a picky diner. Cranky, it means that has a bad temper, okay? Is angry all the time and so on, okay? Bad temper. And picky, what does it mean, a picky one? It's hard to satisfy or please, okay? He's picky or something like that, okay? So it's hard to please. So picky diner, okay? For example, they were in a restaurant, okay, who lived over 150 years ago. So what happened on August 24, 1853? This is, okay, of course. And George Crumb was working as a chef. So who invented the potato chips here? Starting with George Crumb, was working as a chef in a restaurant when he became frustrated with a customer. Frustrated, okay, very angry with him, okay, with the customer. Who's the customer? The customer had repeatedly sent back his French fries, okay, French fries, the other kind of potato, of course, okay, but it's cooked in different shape. Complaining about what? The French fries is so, yes, so here they were too thick and soggy. Too thick and soggy. So Crumb decided to teach him a lesson. Crumb sliced the potato, okay, as thinly as possible. Very thin, not thick, thin. So here I'm talking about adjectives, thick and thin. So here, thinly as possible, and fried them in grease. Okay, grease is like oil. Okay, something like oil. To Crumb's astonishment, the customer thought the chips were delectable. So what happened here? Actually, the customer found out what did or Crumb did. Okay, it's very delectable and delicious. Okay, so the customer were pleased, of course. They became a regular item on a restaurant's menu, and in time became a staple of the global fast food industry. A staple, important and common, as we said earlier. Okay? Clearly, not all accidents are bad. Not all accidents are bad. Why? Some have made our lives richer, sweeter, and tastier, as you can see in this one. As you can see in this one. Okay? Very good. Now, what we are going to do, let's move to after reading. Now, I want you to think of these questions before answering it, because you are going to answer in your own words. Okay, you are going to describe, as you can see in the first one, in your own words. Okay, explain how popsicles were invented. Actually, let's go back. Okay, let's go back to the obstacles here. Popsicles we're talking about. Okay, what happened with the boy here, which is Frank Iberson, called or named Frank Iberson? Yes, so fruit flavored liquid had frozen to the stick. Okay, this is what really happened. Okay, really about the popsicles. Nice. Let's move to the other one. Here, number 2. Where was the ice cream cone invented? Where? Let's go back. Find out. Yes? So, if you read here, this paragraph. So here I'm talking about unexpected event that brought two men together at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. Okay, this is where the ice cream cone were invented. Very good. So you have some time here. You have to give us the answer by your own words. 3. How did Syrian culture contribute to the invention of the ice cream cone? What happened? Do you remember the Syrian immigrant? His name is Hamawi, Ernest Hamawi. Okay, so how did Syrian culture contribute in inventing, okay, invention of the ice cream cone? Okay, do you remember the Zalabia and when he rolled up with a cone or something like that? Nice. Number 4. What did Ruth Wakefield get from Nestle? And in exchange for her recipe, what did Ruth Wakefield? So do you remember when exchanged the recipe and buy it to the company, which is called Nestle here? So she got supply for a lifetime supply in exchange of her recipe. Supply of what? The chocolate chips, of course, the chocolate chips. Finally, why did George Crumb originally create the potato chip? What happened? What happened really? Very good. Okay, so when he was very angry with the customer, yes, and tried to get the potato very thin or as thinly as possible. Okay, this is what really happened. Nice, guys. Now, let's see the answers. It could differ from yours, of course, but still you can answer as you want or as you like. This is just a substitute, okay, for your answer, and inshallah it will may help you to answer these questions, okay. As we said earlier, number one, in your own words, explain how popsicles were invented. A boy left a bucket of soda out one cold night with a mixing stick, okay, in it. And this is how, and it froze, of course. This is how the popsicles were invented. Number two, where was the ice cream cone invented? It was invented at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. Nice. Number three, how did Syrian culture contribute? What does it mean contribute? Okay, it means that help sometime or sometime participate in something. A Syrian immigrant named Ernest Hemingway rolled up his battery to make a cone for the ice cream. Number four, what did Ruth Wakefield get from Nestle in exchange of her recipe? And we said that she received a lifetime supply of chocolate chips. Finally, number five, why did George Crumb originally create the potato chip? Because a customer, okay, a picky customer, don't forget this, the picky one, a picky customer complained about his French fries being too soggy, okay. Crumb was going to teach him a lesson by giving him very crisp French fries, okay, which is as thinly as possible, okay. And this was the last slide of our lesson. Let's go back to the objectives. Today we learned how we relate the paragraphs to its main idea. Then arrange food information according to questions who, how, and what, and we did that actually. Point out how certain popular foods were discovered, and we have seen the popsicles, ice cream, the chocolate chips, cookies, and finally the potato chips. Finally, find 7 adjectives that describe food. And we have reached the final of our lesson. I would like to thank all of you for watching us today, and inshallah I hope to see you at the next lesson. Goodbye.